Honourable Trevor Mallow.
Mr Speaker, the opposition parties will of course be supporting the third reading of this legislation. I'd like to start off doing something which I maybe should have done earlier, and that is to acknowledge and thank the Canterbury MPs, and in particular the Christchurch MPs, for the work that they're doing down there. I've been lucky enough to have their emissary. Mr Cosgrove's not normally regarded with diplomatic status, but he has come out of Canterbury a couple of times when the others haven't, in order to brief colleagues as to the situation, and what has become clear is that there is an enormous amount of work going on down there, and the personal circumstances of the MPs is not a lot different from the personal circumstances of many of those who have been affected down there. We do know of colleagues sleeping in tents in the backyard. We know of all of them doing enormous work. A couple of them who have lost their houses, and it is a truly awful situation. But like Kiwis do, they're putting their all into it, and I want to acknowledge that in a way this tragedy develops a sense of community. And it's a community that occurs within the city and within the country, and I think that's been exemplified by this debate here today. You know, like all families and like all communities, we might have done things in a slightly different way, but the thing that we know is that now that there's a decision for this approach to be taken, that we do get in behind it and we make sure that it is the best that it can possibly be going forward. And I think that one of the things that I'm hoping is that out of this, you know, across the country and in this Parliament, we do hold on to. You know, I'm an optimist, but I'm not unrealistic. We can't be like this all the time. But I think what we can do is learn from this that there are strengths, and they are all around the House. And the more often that we can avail ourselves of those strengths, then the bigger the contribution that the Parliament can make to the country. And having said that, I want to single out, and it's always dangerous doing this, but both the Minister and Mr Flavel for their contributions on this, and not quite to the same extent, but Mr Locke as well, because there has been things which have been said which are very special from both of them, from a Christchurch perspective, and from someone who I think exemplifies New Zealand's understanding of death in a way that and has an ability to express it in a way that many of us would love to have. Mr Speaker, I'll share with you the fact that I spent a couple of minutes, 10 minutes ago, with the Senior Government Whip and the Minister, and I think we came to the conclusion that in legislative and in a legal sense, this legislation is unnecessary. The powers which we have already granted to the government, I think, would have given them the ability to do this day by regulation, by using the regulation-making powers under the Act that we have previously, we passed last year following the September earthquake. But I think we again came to the conclusion together that we as a Parliament are pleased that the powers which sat there were not used, that there was an opportunity to come together as a Parliament to be supportive and to indicate again the fact that we care so deeply for the people of Christchurch and the people internationally who have lost people, and also for the people young and old who don't know where they're going to live over the next few months and over the next few years, and for the people who have been and are living in what are currently unacceptable circumstances. And I think what we've done is to resolve to do together what we can to make the best of this, to learn from it, but most of all to put on the record our commitment to make sure that Canterbury is strong again, not only in the Crusaders sense, but as an important counterbalance to Auckland in a way that is important to our society and to our economy. And as we all know, while I love Dunedin, Canterbury is effectively the capital of the South Island, and for New Zealand to be strong, it must be strong too.
Honourable Heke.